A rally in corn, soybeans, and wheat, and the implications of the war against Iran. Jerry Gidel is ready to assess also the oil prices right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. Jerry, so we have had this week with the war in Iran, and corn and soybean prices have had a significant rally, but we can start by analyzing the impact of these oil prices that jumped from nearly $57 the barrel to $92 a barrel at the close. We're talking about the West Texas Intermediate.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been virtually a $25 jump in from Friday to Friday. That's a pretty amazing scenario. We're pushing up around 92 and a half, 93. From there, at this point, it's had a dramatic effect on all financial scenarios from the metals to the grains here. And that really, the reaction here is the dynamic U.S. attack on the government of Iran. And that right now, there's still a lot of questions as to who might be the main person on the Iranian side, since the longtime leader was uh, wiped out in the first attack by the U.S. And that's so. That's the thing. It's interesting here. Actually, psychologically, here on the nearby oil, we'll probably have a little bit more room involved in this thing, up towards the psychology of $100 a barrel. And that's, here we are with 67 last week. But, that's an interesting factor, how much more that might impact or not impact the world prices here on other goods, such as grains or
Well, yeah,
and
we can also mention the fertilizer that also skyrocketed in the last couple of days.
yes, yes, that's the one that probably from the standpoint of the agricultural connection, and people have been disappointed that the energy slash the fertilizer prices have not drifted come down with the lower grain prices, maybe because of the tensions in the Mideast. But the interesting twist of it is that to some extent, the urea prices around the world are quite influenced by the Mideast, and that there's some liquid nitrogen issues that have come through that scenario, and that the one thing that the phosphates and the potash prices are not all determined in the Mideast, but that without the Straits of Hormuz open, and that it definitely has quite put quite a emotional reaction in this thing. I wouldn't say that the U.S. prices or supplies are going to be hurt this year, because it's already been shipped into the U.S. ready for this spring. But South American situations and things like that are highly important as to get that factor in here. And that's added to, the uncertainty, because unfortunately, when you have a dramatic change in fertilizer prices, usually what happens is it doesn't the the producer out there does not utilize as much, and so the potential for its yields usually are lower. So that's, like you say, is another factor in why the world ag prices have been very, very strong in here.
Yeah,
But
so at least I was going to say at least we got a rally for the three major agricultural commodities on Friday.
yes, yeah, well, it this weekend, and that I don't know that I've heard anything particularly here so far on Friday night into Saturday morning when we're doing this, and that would point to dynamic prices being higher. But the biggest thing in this whole thing is that uh, given the kind of emotions that are involved in this thing and the uncertainty of the participants as to what they might or might not do, is putting plenty of uncertainty in here, and that usually means short covering and higher prices. So we'll see how that turns out to be. We had actually earlier in the week we had some pretty good May numbers here on the U.S. side. The U.S. soybean crush. Actually was 2 to 3 million higher than expected here at 227.9, excuse me, uh, million bushels, basically about 2 million less than the previous month when there's expectations of something being lower out there a little bit. Not much, but in general, the soybean crush has been running very strong. It's not from the standpoint of demand for protein in the U.S. Livestock industry. It's because of the need to a process that is ongoing here about expanding renewable diesel, uh, which they were going to blend in more soybean oil numbers here, and so the uh, the soybean oil is basically about 20% of the soybean crush out of the thing. So that means that they're starting to build things on supplies for that for late in the year. I still looks very strong that that's going to come out of the last look at here from the U.S. and will really start going probably in April of this year. At this point. So that's really been a subtle one here on that. The other big number that came out was the ethanol utilization and that, and it was a little disappointing, less than expected on the December number that was revised down by 6 million bushels, and the January number was about 20 million less than what was indicated by the weekly weekly corn ethanol grind. So it's always a little interesting. There's a little slag in there every once in a while, but in general here, things in the processing industry have been there pretty good. One thing of note was that midweek we did end up having an update on the ethanol production on a weekly basis, and it was slightly down. But the one thing that did happen was that we had a pretty significant, nearly 1 million barrel jump in the stocks report. So kind of a mixed bag there on the U.S. Ethanol production scenario as we see right now. But right now, the markets are still probably, despite all our talking about fundamentals and things like that, is still going to be so tied up with what's happening in the emotions of the Mideast war, who's winning, who's losing, that type of thing here in the near term.
Yeah, it seems that the war is going to last for a while. It's not going to be a couple of weeks. But in South America, there's still a harvest going on, and we have had the numbers of agroconsult going against the tide, increasing the Brazilian output of soybeans.
Yeah, it's interesting in the fact that it's kind of a mixed bag. That that's going to be an important number we're going to watch on Thursday or next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. Excuse me, to get our week straight here. And that uh, Rio Grande do Sul conditions have not been good, and we've had very edgy kind of situations in the southern areas of Argentina, and that, and so we've got Well, it's probably two-thirds of the South American production. People are looking for their numbers from 180 to go down to 178. And we've got a couple other ones that still think it's going to go from the 180 up to 182 or 3 on Brazilian soybean output. In general, that 5 million swing it could be quite significant, but right now, at least that's the USDA also is always tends to be holding their estimates, and maybe they'll just stop and not make any changes here. But at the same time, uh, in general, here the trade is not looking for a lot of changes in the U.S. numbers. A little up, a little down. I'm actually looking for no changes in corn and wheat myself. So, or excuse me, corn and soybeans. From there, which would be a 2.127 on corn and 350 on beans. Well, wheat, I'm a little interested here. We've got one quarter to go, and we only need to have sales of less than 80 million. So I kind of feel like there might be a little bit of an increase in the exports on wheat, which would take down their carryover. But going from 930 down to 910, and not wildly exciting there, just because of the fact that it's still a very significant number from there along the way. So, that's definitely be watched this coming week. But overall, the market is really going to be uh, reacting to what the latest ups and downs on perception of the Mideast war and is Iran kicking back stronger or weaker along the way. At this point, the assumption is, I think, all around the world is that Iran is not going to be able to slow down the situation there in the Mideast. This when do they decide that it's time to come to the bargaining table along the way? I also don't think that the U.S. is going to get a complete regime change after this, unless they can find more of the current radicals that are involved in Iran's government to not be on the scene. I don't know how that's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up for this week. Thank you very much, Jerry.
Well, one thing I should mention is that we have had quite a significant rally in these prices here, corn and soybeans, even wheat moving over $6. Uh, Wheat's a very emotional world number, so I don't think we're going to look at that. But having some soybean sales above 50 to 60% done, I think is a important thing here because of what's happened in South America, because of the fact that things look pretty solid down there. So, it's always good to have a dramatic change like this to always throw a little bit in the pot. But at this point, it's pretty wide open here going into the coming week, and we'll keep our nose to the commodity markets.
Thank you very much.
Take